new star has risen in the chess world. 25-year-old Grandmaster Aravind Chithambaram is making waves, surging toward the global top 10 with a jaw-dropping rating climb. And just recently, he took down Grandmaster Anish Giri in a masterclass performance, 98% accuracy, 3 brilliant moves, pure domination. Let's dive into this electrifying game. Aravind opens with queen to h4, immediately putting pressure on the knight. Anish responds by defending with his king, staying calm under fire. Now, here's where things get spicy. If Aravind tries grabbing the pawn on g4, Anish ready with rh1, launching a fierce counterattack. But Aravind's got a bolder plan up his sleeve. He unleashes knight to g5, sacrificing his knight like a chess wizard. This move sets up a deadly threat. Queen takes h3 with check. Can Anish take the knight? Nope, not safely. Capturing opens the door for Aravind to snatch the pawn on g4, activating his rook and bishop. That sets up queen. Takes h3 check, followed by queen to h2 check, winning back the knight with a crushing assault. So, Anish wisely defends the h3 pawn instead, challenging Aravind, "What's your knight doing hanging there?" Aravind, in true genius fashion, channels the spirit of Bobby Fischer, using every square on the board. He plays pawn to d4, sacrificing a pawn in the center to crack open the light square diagonal, threatening bishop to d5 with check. Anish seizes the chance to grab the knight on g5, thinking he's got a free piece. But Aravind stays cool. If he delivers a check now, Anish could block with pawn to e4. So, Aravind calmly captures the pawn on to e3. Here's the kicker, that pawn to e3 pawn is poisoned. If Anish takes it, Aravind hits back with pawn to f4, forking and regaining material. Anish tries to dodge this trap by capturing the pawn on to f5, but Aravind recaptures with his pawn, bringing the threat back to life. Now Anish is in deep trouble. If he doesn't take the pawn, Aravind plays bishop to d5 check, and the king has nowhere to hide. So, Anish captures, but this allows pawn to f4, forking and leveling the material. The problem for Anish? Aravind's attack is still relentless. Next, Aravind plays bishop to e4, blocking Anish's attempt to stop bishop to d5. But Aravind's not done. He trades rooks, the bishop recaptures, and now rook to f8 sets up a devastating threat. Rook takes f3, followed by bishop to d5, winning the rook. Anish can't defend with his rook without losing the h3 pawn to a check. Desperate, Anish tries queen to e4, offering a trade to block bishop to d5. But Aravind delivers the final blow. Rook to f4 attacks the queen, forcing it off the diagonal. Then, rook takes f3, sacrificing the rook. If Anish captures with the king, bishop to d5 wins the rook. If he takes with the queen, bishop to d5 wins the queen. Checkmate is inevitable. Anish resigns.